In an alternate America ruled by the military, the government preaches discipline, sacrifice, and relentless work. Its most celebrated national spectacle is the Long Walk, a televised contest that turns human endurance into patriotic propaganda. Ray Garrity has been selected to represent Maine. His mother, Ginny, drives him toward the starting point through cold rain, begging him to reconsider. Ray is frightened too, but insists that entering was his decision. At the guarded checkpoint, Ginny realizes she cannot stop him. She holds Ray as though she may never see him again, while he fights back tears and forces himself across the barricade alone. Ray meets Peter McVreese, whose humor immediately eases the tension. The contestants eat, joke, stretch, and hide their fear. One nervous boy named Curly claims to be 18, though nobody believes him. The major arrives with soldiers and cameras. Each contestant receives a numbered metal tag, replacing his identity with an official place in the event. The ceremony calls them heroes while treating them as disposable. Then the rules are explained. They must stay above 3 miles per hour. Falling behind earns warnings, and 3 active warnings mean execution. Leaving the road means immediate death. The walk ends when 1 person remains. The major fires into the air, and 50 boys begin moving. Military trucks follow close behind, filming every step. The empty road initially feels ordinary, but the surrounding weapons make clear that nobody can withdraw. Billy Stebbins deliberately slows, receives a warning, and calmly restores his pace. While everyone else reacts nervously, he studies the system, measuring exactly how much room the rules allow. Gary Barkovich stops to remove a rock from his shoe. The warnings climb while a soldier prepares to fire, but Gary moves at the final moment. He calls it a clever rest, the others call it stupidity. As they discuss the reward, some dream about money and others about the winner's wish. Ray argues that poverty forced them here, then disguised desperation as opportunity. Peter respects his anger and agrees. Richard Harkness collects names and numbers for a first-hand book he plans to publish after winning. Peter jokes that a winner would already be famous, briefly making them sound like ordinary teenagers. That illusion ends when Curly develops a crippling leg cramp. Ray and Peter steady him, but his body stops cooperating. His warnings expire. He collapses, and the soldiers kill him in front of everyone. The major immediately praises Curly as a fallen comrade. His polished speech turns an executed child into patriotic advertising. The survivors cannot protest or stop to mourn. They must keep walking. Later, a young girl beside the road holds a sign for Ray. The others tease him about having a fan, creating a brief burst of laughter amid the executions. Another contestant suffers a seizure. Although he cannot control his body, the soldiers continue issuing warnings until he is killed. Gary celebrates having one less competitor, making the group hate him even more. Gary then provokes Rank Sanders by insulting his mother. Rank attacks, loses balance, and falls. Unable to recover before the countdown ends, he is shot, and everyone blames Gary for engineering the death. A boy named Ronald later tries to relieve himself without stopping, but slows enough to die. When darkness arrives, the major congratulates the survivors on reaching their first night, ignoring the bodies behind them. Sleep deprivation becomes as dangerous as the road. Ray begins dreaming while walking, and Peter repeatedly wakes him. After collecting 3 warnings, Ray must walk perfectly for hours. Terrified, he accuses Peter of pretending to care. The route climbs a brutal hill. Exhausted contestants fall, and gunshots follow from behind. When Ray begins failing, Peter catches him and keeps him moving. Ray apologizes, realizing their friendship is keeping them alive. By morning, only 18 walkers remain. 14 boys died during the night. The survivors no longer imagine victory as glory. They understand the contest is an organized method of killing everyone except one. Harkness has been hiding a damaged ankle, but it finally gives out. Ray urges him onward as warnings accumulate. Harkness collapses near 2 watching children and is executed, taking his imagined future with him. At the 100-mile celebration, one walker runs toward a building. Soldiers shoot him before he can escape. The attempt proves there is no secret exit and no surrender option inside the rules. The survivors question what their wishes could accomplish. Peter would demand 2 winners. Ray wants to attack the system, but the others doubt the government would allow it. Their frustration becomes open defiance. Heavy rain soaks the exhausted group and makes sleep harder to resist. They trade jokes and stories simply to remain conscious. Peter continues supporting Ray, and their loyalty grows stronger. Ray finally explains why he entered. His father taught forbidden ideas and refused to swear loyalty to the major, so the state executed him. Ray intends to wish for a carbine and kill the major. Patrick's feet become so damaged that he begs the soldiers for help and reaches toward Tank. A soldier knocks him down, the vehicle crushes his legs, and the warning process ends with his execution. The sight destroys Tressler's remaining control. He removes his clothes and runs off the pavement, knowing the consequence. Soldiers fire immediately. showing that some walkers break mentally before their bodies fail. Hank Olson reaches his limit and turns toward the military vehicle, allowing the soldiers to shoot him. Art Baker runs to hold his dying friend and nearly loses pace until Ray pulls him away. The survivors learn Olson left behind a wife named Clementine. They promise the winner will support her. Even Gary asks to join, admitting Rank's death haunts him while still avoiding full responsibility. Gary's guilt becomes unstable rage. He wounds himself, lashes out, and falls behind. Nobody can stop the countdown. When soldiers execute him, the group feels disturbed rather than satisfied by their tormentor's death. The boys sing Clementine in Olson's memory as the road turns toward Ray's hometown. Collie Parker calls him lucky, but Ray fears that seeing Ginny will make walking away impossible. One of Ray's shoes breaks apart. Walking unevenly would be more dangerous, so he removes both shoes and continues barefoot. His feet are already bleeding, but every step must still meet the required pace. When Ray spots Ginny in the crowd, instinct pulls him toward her. She steps back and orders him to stay on the road. Peter grabs Ray before the soldiers fire, forcing him to leave her again. Peter reveals his own past. War killed his parents, an abusive uncle controlled his childhood, and street life taught him violence. After surviving a knife attack, he decided to seek light in darkness and help abandoned children. With few walkers left, Stebbins argues that helping one another will prolong the contest forever. They reluctantly agree to stop. Almost immediately, Art develops a severe nosebleed, and the others force themselves to ignore him. Collie cannot accept this cruelty. He rushes a soldier, steals a weapon, and fires back at the regime. The army shoots him down, but briefly he turns the walk's violence against its enforcers. Ray and Peter abandon the agreement when Art's bleeding becomes impossible to ignore. Art gives them a keepsake for his grandmother, asks them not to look back, and walks toward the soldiers to choose his ending. Only Ray, Peter, and Stebbins remain. The Major follows nearby, praising their aggression as proof his system creates strong men. Ray answers with contempt as the exhausted trio approaches the end. Stebbins reveals he is one of the Major's sons. He entered hoping victory would earn his father's acceptance. With his organs failing, he recognizes the dream was meaningless, stops walking, and dies without receiving any compassion. Alone with Peter and Elaine, Ray admits he no longer fears death. After witnessing so many executions, death feels familiar, while choosing how to face the final moment matters more than survival. A huge crowd surrounds the last two, cheering as though their suffering were entertainment. Peter offers to stop so Ray can return to Ginny. Ray refuses and forces him forward, though only one can survive. Peter walks ahead without realizing Ray has stopped. Soldiers restrain him when he tries to return. Ray tells Peter he loves him, apologizes to his mother, and accepts the Major's final shot. The crowd celebrates while Peter collapses in grief. The Major declares him the winner and offers fame, wealth, and his wish. Peter requests a soldier's carbine, pretending it will become a family symbol. The soldiers hesitate, but the Major orders them to honor the request. Once armed, Peter aims at the creator of the walk, dedicates the act to Ray, shoots the Major, drops the rifle, and walks away.